Casey Bernstein, and Chris Spatola. Big thank you to Chris Damiani and Morgan Lubin leading our crew in Waco today. Alongside King McClure, I'm Chucky Kemp. Baylor legend Tommy Bowman sitting there looking on as Jalen Celestine has a chance to send the folks in Waco home happy. Baylor looking for their 8th Big 12 win of the season. They've won 8 or more Big 12 games in 13 straight years. You talk about consistency in one of the toughest conferences in the country. Mountaineers hoping for a chance
2020, Daniel Day Long, Risa Mae Saunders, Gage Ripley, and young Jamison Long were brutally murdered in their Elkview home. In December 2020, Daniel Day Long, Risa Mae Saunders, Gage Ripley, and young Jamison Long were brutally murdered in their Elkview home on Cemetery Hill Drive by an utterly unexpected individual, shattering their lives forever. Here are some of the most disturbing interviews with kids who killed their families.
And you have sex together after this has happened, after you know this guy has killed your family.
When this happened, Facebook or MySpace thing saying I was talking to other girls and talking.
Erin Caffey, a 16-year-old choir girl with a gentle demeanor, shocked everyone by masterminding a chilling plot that left her entire family brutally murdered. Born July 27, 1991 in Alba, Texas, Erin Michelle Caffey was the eldest of 3 children, which included 13-year-old Matthew or Bubba and 8-year-old Tyler. Her parents, Terry and Penny Caffey, lived in a remote cabin, with Terry serving as a minister and Penny in the church choir. Erin's life, however, takes a dramatic turn in 2004 when she was removed from Raines Junior High after she kissed a classmate. This led her parents to withdraw all 3 children from the school and start homeschooling with a Bible-based curriculum, rejecting the school's cultural influences. Erin later met Charlie Wilkinson from her day job, a meeting that turned her family's fate for the worst. In the early hours of March 1st, 2008, Caffey manipulated her boyfriend, Charlie Wilkinson, together with his friends, Charles Wade and Bobby Gale Johnson, to execute the brutal murder of her family. Armed with a .22 caliber handgun and a samurai sword, the intruders entered the home, where Charlie and Charles shot Terry and Penny while they slept. When the gun jammed, Charles used the sword to nearly decapitate Penny while Matthew was shot and Tyler was stabbed in hiding. The attackers then set the house on fire, but by some miracle, Terry survived. In this interview with Pierce Morgan, Erin reveals in detail, especially the tangled web of motives behind the crime. During her interrogation, it was discovered that it was Erin who had instructed Charlie to get rid of her parents, as she claimed that her mother had been mistreating her. Charlie, intensified by his feelings for Erin, claims that his actions were motivated by love and a desire to shield Erin from perceived abuse. She said that the murder of her family was something she and her boyfriend often joked about. But the horror doesn't stop there, because in a chilling display of utter disregard for her family, she would go on to have sex with her boyfriend even after they slaughtered her entire family. It's as if this intimate act was his reward for going along with her sinister plan. But the most disturbing part of this interview has to be the complex dynamic she uses in answering questions put towards her. She never really answers them directly. And what's worse is that Erin still doesn't realize the consequences of what she has done, showing no emotions or remorse, which are clear signs of being a psychopath.
Did you mastermind this crime? Were you the motivating force behind this happening?
On the 10th of August, 2012, reports were made about a house on fire in Hendersonville, Tennessee, Sumner County. Now, the authorities soon discovered inside that burning house was the body of Melanie Davis, lying on her bed, covered in blood and brutally disfigured. Six years prior. With her children. Once she had fallen asleep, his mom, Zach set the house on fire, using a mix of whiskey and petrol, intending to burn both his sleeping brother Josh and their mother's body. Fortunately, Josh detected the smoke just in time and escaped the house. Zachary's interview was seemingly horrific, giving details of his crime and motive with smirks and laughter. His emotional detachment was evident, as he had a monotonous voice and a facial expression that was disturbingly flat. One could even see the lack of visible emotion, which suggested he was either suppressing his feelings or he could be having a deeper issue. After all, according to medical reports, he was diagnosed with a depressive disorder with psychosis. During police interrogations, Zach admitted that his only regret was not killing Josh with the sledgehammer as well. Now, before this, Dr. Phil had to issue a warning to viewers about the deeply disturbing nature of his interview with Zachary, cautioning them before they tuned in.
I'm going to tell you, you may not want to watch it, so it's very brief, but if you want to look away and just listen, you can do that. I'll just tell you ahead of time.
When he asked why he decided to kill his mom, Zachary tells Dr. Phil that she wasn't taking care of his family, and then describes in detail what the murder scene was like. While speaking about what it sounded like when he hit his mother repeatedly with a sledgehammer, he smirked. I could just hear the hammer hitting her head. Letting out a laugh. Dr. Phil, obviously a bit put off by the inappropriate laugh, asked Zachary, "Did you laugh when you were hitting her?" To which he replies that he did. When asked why he laughed, Zachary simply replied, "I just thought she deserved it." Now, what makes this interview even more unsettling is that Zachary has never appeared to show any remorse for this brutal act. In fact, when he thinks back on it, he looks like he couldn't help but smile.
I think Cass did say throughout the month is we went to live in the house first. Okay. And then we have all the packages to show up over the weekend.
Now, this is an interview of two brothers who made specific plans to brutally murder people in fives as they embark on a journey to fame of becoming serial killers. Unfortunately, they decided to start by killing their entire family a day before they began their killing spree. Born into a family of 9, David and April Beaver were their parents. They had 2 sisters, Crystal Beaver, 13 years of age, and Victoria, who was 4. They also had 2 other brothers, Daniel, 12 years old, and Christopher, 10 years, and little 2-year-old Autumn. Robert was 18 years old while Michael was 16 when they picked interest in Voodoo and Rampage in 2015. Now, on July 23, 2015, 5 members of the Beaver family were murdered in Broken Arrow, 709 Magnolia Court, Oklahoma. Only the 2-year-old, who was asleep all throughout, and the 13-year-old, Crystal, survived. Michael Beaver gave a detailed description of how this ambition started and how they eliminated their entire family. He looks fascinated while talking to detectives, giving off this calm and unremorseful attitude, yet in a really chilled way, more like he was having accomplished their mission, and further ones at that, and even body armor. He gives details explaining that it wasn't until the 30th of June that Robert could get a gun seller, as every other thing was bought from eBay and Amazon. Michael said that they had a journal where they kept their plans, and Robert hid that journal under his pillow. Now, their motives are just as disturbing as the gruesome crime itself. According to Michael, Robert wanted to kill for 2 reasons. First, his hate for people who think society is over 15 people. And Thomas, a guy that shot a theater in Colorado and took about over 12 people. Robert's goal was to collect 50 human lives. Meanwhile, Michael was just as excited, saying that he enjoyed the idea of people getting killed. And in his own words, he said, "It is interesting."
Hi, it's a block. Are you sure it's a block? It wasn't a Smith election, but it also was a block.
That's a compelling interview true of a 16-year-old with some serious displays of sociopathy. From being in denial at the beginning of the interrogation to demonstrating a sophisticated knowledge of firearms, Gavin Smith was born on June 17, 2004, in Kanawha County, West Virginia, where he was found guilty of murdering his entire family, which included his brother who was still in his crib. Gavin lived with his mom, Risa Mae Saunders, stepfather, Daniel Dale Long, and two younger brothers, Gage Ripley and Jameson Long, in Elkview, West Virginia, until their horrific death. Gavin had taken his time. He had days and weeks to devise his plan to kill his family, and he would do all this claiming it was for love and to spend more time with his girlfriend, Rebecca Lynn Walker, who was 17 years old. At the time of the murder, they were about 9 months in their relationship, and he sure got the greatest motivation and encouragement while Rebecca urges him to execute his horrendous plans on his family through FaceTime, saying, "Hurry up and do it already." If that isn't pure evil, I wonder what is. He said in his interview that he and Rebecca had kicked off their relationship on social media since it was during COVID, and that they usually talked on Snapchat and Instagram. He then finally confessed to the murder of his family with reasons, stating that his mother and stepfather, whom he shot in the head, had abused him, especially his stepfather, saying that he abused him sexually and physically. He then shot his brother Gage in the head as he laid at the foot of the bed in their parents' room. According to him, his brother Jameson's cries upset him so much that he felt compelled to slit his throat before also shooting him in the head while he was still in his crib. The bodies were discovered by concerned friends of the family, who, after unsuccessful attempts to contact him, went to their house and found the gruesome scene days after the murders. Smith was found by law enforcement 4 days after the murder, hiding behind a dresser in a third-floor room of a house on River Haven Road in Clendenin. However, articles of clothing on and near him tested positive for the presence of blood. Christopher and Cameron Irvin, once seen as kind and gentle, shocked loved ones and authorities with a chilling crime scene against their parents, leaving friends and family questioning what drove these seemingly innocent young men to commit such a heinous act of betrayal. Born in 1993 and 98 respectively, Christopher and Cameron Irvin were the only children of Zachary and Yvonne Irvin. They lived in a 2-story home in a middle-class suburb of Atlanta, Georgia. Now, Christopher was a political science major at Georgia State with an impressive 4.0 GPA. His academic prowess was evident as he supported himself financially with various jobs, including a retail associate position at Spencer's Gifts and also an Abercrombie & Fitch model. Now, despite earning a second-team all-county lineman spot, he would quit football after a year at the University of Charleston due to overwhelming stress. In contrast, Cameron, a graduate of Shiloh High School, had followed his older brother onto the football field. But in the end, he chose music and joined the marching band. This decision, coupled with his and Christopher's disinterest in football, created a rift between the siblings and their father, Zachary. At 4 a.m. on September 5th, 2015, in the stillness of the morning, a horrific plan was set in motion, forever changing the fate of the Irvin family. Zachary. At 4 a.m. on September 5th, 2015, in the stillness of the morning, a horrific plan was set in motion, forever changing the fate of the Irvin family home. Christopher and Cameron, fueled by a dark intent, drugged their unsuspecting parents during dinner. Then the brothers crept into their bedroom, smothering and strangling them with pillows and plastic bags. The assault escalated into a brutal frenzy, with their father ending up being stabbed multiple times, and their mother bludgeoned with a shotgun. In a twisted bid to ensure their mother's demise, the brothers covered her face in saran wrap. But their cruelty wouldn't stop there. They attempted to incinerate the evidence, setting the house ablaze by letting the gas run and lighting candles throughout to hide their horrific act. Miraculously, the parents defied the odds and clung to life, surviving this brutal assault.
It really wasn't my fault, but whatever. So, I mean, ever since then, like, I don't know, communication is just weird.
During interrogation, interrogation, the brothers revealed a shocking motive: deep-seated resentment from feeling neglected in their childhood. They explained that their parents were so focused on football that they felt unloved and overlooked. Christopher said football was the only family bond they had, and quitting disappointed their parents. Cameron shared that his father made him feel worthless after he quit, despite returning to the sport to win his approval. The emotional distance from their parents left them feeling abandoned, and chillingly, the brothers admitted that they were fully prepared to carry out their brutal scheme to the very end.
Also, right now at 8, a 16-year-old is behind bars accused of murdering her mom and her mother's boyfriend. Police say the motive, the teen did not like their 20-year age gap.
And even though she is a minor, we are going to use her name because of the nature and severity of these alleged crimes. And it is a tough one to talk about because she is being tried as an adult.
Around midnight on Sunday, July 7th, a teenager called 911 to report the deaths of her mom and her mom's boyfriend. But instead of confessing to the crime, she claimed that an intruder had broken into their home and killed him. When the police arrived at the scene, they found both victims had been shot, something the teen hadn't mentioned during her 911 call. Grace Egler, a 16-year-old girl, faces 2 counts of first-degree murder charges. After Kelly McCollum, her 38-year-old mom, and her mom's 22-year-old boyfriend, Matthew Zenrock, were found dead at her home in Palm Bay, Florida. The police found Zenrock's body in the bathroom, and he'd been shot and stabbed. Meanwhile, McCollum's body was found in the living room. A sworn statement, otherwise known as an affidavit, states that Grace Egler told her mom and her mom's boyfriend, "Welcome home," when they walked through the front door. She claimed she already had a knife she took from the kitchen, broke into her mom's room, and stole her mom's .38 caliber revolver while they were out. It was after this that she shot McCollum more than once, before repeatedly unloading on Zenrock as he pleaded with her to stop. Egler then followed Matthew into the bathroom where he retreated and began stabbing him repeatedly, before reloading the gun after he asked her to put him out of his misery and shot him in his head. It's really disturbing to think that Grace had imagined a horror movie in her mind and wanted to play it out, as she waited for him to return and greet him with a gun in hand and a knife in a pocket. There must have been a really good motive for such a bold step by a 16-year-old. According to officials, Egler told him how an unknown male intruder had entered the residence through a back sliding glass door. The police uncovered the true motive behind the gruesome premeditated crime of a daughter to her mother. She had a long-standing conflict with her mom over her decision to change gender, as well as her relationship with a man 16 years younger. However, it was the chilling words she said to the dispatcher after killing her mom and her mom's boyfriend that were really intriguing. When the dispatcher asked her if she still had her dogs with her, she replied that,
"They're still in my room. I didn't let them out because I didn't want them getting blood all over their paws."
The dispatcher asked in shock, "Wait, did you say blood all over their paws? Is there blood inside your house? Whose blood is it? Do you know if anyone's hurt at your house?" To which Egler then replied in floods of tears, "They're dead."
Distribute them amongst your friends. Come in here today and lie to my face and say that you didn't do that. No, what? I didn't do that.
November 2nd, 2015. Gregory Ramos did the unspeakable when he murdered his own mother with his bare hands. But little did he know that his actions would later catch up with him. Born on June 14th, 2003 in Florida, Gregory Logan Ramos is the biological child of Gail Clevenger, an accomplished accountant by profession, who's married to his stepfather, Danny Klinger, a businessman. Now, they lived in their family house at 35 Alcant Road in DeBary, Florida. His stepfather wasn't always in his life, and he would be in constant confrontation with his mother, making their relationship estranged. So as a result, Greg practiced martial arts, focusing on breathing, fitness, and spirituality. He would join the Orange City Police Explorer program and volunteered at the Volusia County Fair. At University High School, he was active in various clubs and was described as a bright, effortlessly successful student. But all this did little to calm his frustration with his mom. On the second day of November 2018, 15-year-old Gregory Ramos entered his mother's bedroom in the morning, forced her to the floor and strangled her for 30 minutes to death. After her death, he put her in a wheelbarrow and dragged her to his car around 4 a.m. He then drove to church about 1.5 miles from their house, where he would secure her legs with 2 belts and drag her body from the van to a fire pit. He then dug a hole under that pit while listening to music on his phone. He attempted to cut off his mother's wedding ring with the intent of pawning it, but he was unable to do so because he had no knife strong enough to do it. So he proceeded to dump the body of his mom into this hole. When it failed to fit inside, he cramped her body and then poured bleach on the body to render the smell sterile and filled the hole back up. Afterward, he orchestrated a staged burglary at his home with the help of his 2 friends, Brian Porkis and Dylan Seglarek, in an attempt to cover up his crime. Unfortunately for him, he was arrested on November 3rd, 2018, and taken into custody. As for his 2 friends, they were eventually charged as adults with being accessories after the fact to a capital felony for which they both pled not guilty. In this interrogation with officers, Greg disclosed the motives behind his heinous crime and the attempted burglary at the house. He said that he was furious at his mom for telling his stepfather about his low grade, claiming that she slapped and hit him in the face. Now, according to him, he didn't plan to kill her, but his actions were born out of complete impulse. He expressed that it was either her getting so angry with me one day that she just takes out a kitchen knife and stabs me, or it was me getting so angry with her that I strangled her to death. And so I took the latter. The shocking thing about the interrogation was when he revealed that he went to school after he brutally killed his mother and acted as if nothing happened, later placing a 911 call, of which he described as a Grammy-winning call. Ruthlessly insane.
What's her name? Isabella.
It's really insane. You're gonna ruin my whole life because I have some random crazy like me.
This is an interview of an infamous American girl who stabbed her mother at least 79 times in the head, neck, and torso in 2013. The scene of that murder was beastly. Born June 1995, Hispanic Caucasian Isabella Guzman lived with her family, her mother Yunmi Hoy, and her stepfather Ryan Hoy, in their home at Aurora, Colorado. The family was pretty poor and couldn't afford many things that she needed at this age, which always caused arguments between her and her mom. According to her aunt, she generally carried a friendly demeanor, but tended to become angry and isolated herself in her room at times. On August 28, 2013, Yunmi Hoy arrived home at 9:30 p.m. and went upstairs for a shower. Moments later, Ryan heard a thud and screams, rushing up to find Isabella slamming and locking the bathroom door. Blood is seeping from beneath this door, prompting Ryan to call 911. When he returned, Isabella comes out with a bloody knife and walks past him, silently. Ryan runs in to find his wife naked on the floor, with 31 stab wounds to her face and 48 to her neck. Despite his attempts to resuscitate her, she did die, and Isabella had fled the scene, leading police to warn the public that she was armed and dangerous. She was found the next afternoon in a nearby parking garage, still in a blood-stained outfit. During interrogation, Isabella acted like she didn't know anybody or what the detectives were even talking about. She claimed to be someone else, called Samantha, that had been accused for a heinous crime done by Isabella. She denied even knowing her dad, right up to the very end, wearing that same shirt she used to kill her mother. It was later revealed that Isabella suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, which was the cause behind her horrendous actions. It was after this interrogation that she said that while killing Yun, she didn't know it was her mother. She thought it was a woman named Cecilia, who she had to stab to save the world. She would tell investigators that the voices in her head had been controlling her, and because of this, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity, and then taken to the Colorado Mental Health Institute.
That's it. So you tell me.
Chris Sutton was hard to root for as an observer because he was very arrogant.
This interview shows the life of a rich kid with some serious sociopathic traits, displaying an intricate web of greed, deceit, entitlement, and betrayal. At a tender age, Christopher Sutton was adopted into a very comfortable home by Susan and Sean Sutton, a wealthy couple from Coral Gables, Miami, who adopted 2 children due to infertility. They lived the American dream, owning boats lives and earning community respect as a power couple. John, a successful attorney, and Susan, a devoted wife and mother, had a beautiful family, a gorgeous home, and decent disposable income. So I guess it's safe to say that it was almost perfect. But unknown to everyone around him, there were a series of incidents where this kid, Chris, pointed an unloaded gun at his mom and sister, threatening to kill him. At 16, Chris's family found a note in his bedroom outlining his plans to kill his parents for inheritance money. Though he said it was a joke, his concerned parents had sent them 7,000 miles away to Paradise Cove when he turned 18, fearing potential violence. But this wouldn't seem to be enough, because their life would soon be shattered by a flurry of gunshots, turning their story into a real-life murder mystery. On Sunday, August 22, 2004, after a family birthday celebration that included their son, Christopher, his girlfriend, Juliet, and a family friend, Teddy Montoto, Susan and John Sutton would retire to separate bedrooms in their home. Now, Susan often slept in the second room because her husband, John, snored. A man dressed in all black with a Glock 9mm semi-automatic would shoot John, and then went to Susan to shoot her 6 times. But he still wasn't done. The gunman heads back into the master bedroom and empties his gun into John. Now, to explain who the man in black was, you see, Christopher, the mastermind, had hired Garrett Kopp with a promise of $100,000 from his inheritance after his parents had died. They bonded over living in the same apartment, smoking weed, and were seen selling and using drugs together. Now, before questioning, Christopher presented a movie ticket as an alibi, despite Juliet's statement that he repeatedly expressed a desire for his parents' death and was on the phone throughout the movie with 170 calls between him and Garrett. In court, his emotions definitely felt rehearsed, as his crying about his time in Samoa contrasted with his lack of emotion toward his parents.
God complex. I've never felt like that before, and it's so stupid. So stupid.
In an outburst of a psychedelic bad trip, 19-year-old college student Thomas Chan found himself trapped in a distorted reality where he was overwhelmed by delusions resulting from the consumption of too many magic mushrooms, with his mind spiraling out of control. Thomas Chan was a typical 19-year-old from Peterborough, Ontario, Canada, and he was known for his rugby talent. Unfortunately, repeated concussions forced him to quit the sport, and this impacted his academic performance greatly. Despite the setback, he managed to attend college in St. Lawrence and seemed to be doing well. On December 28, 2015, Thomas goes to a bar with some friends to watch hockey. After drinking, they return to his mom's house and consume mushrooms. His father, Dr. Andrew Chan, and Dr. Chan's girlfriend, Lynn Witteveen, were at his father's house on Haggis Drive when he got there after taking the mushrooms. Thomas entered his father's house barefooted with his shirt open, shouting, "I'm not afraid anymore." In a tragic turn of events, he fatally stabbed Dr. Chan with a kitchen knife and attacked Witteveen, inflicting multiple stab wounds to her head, face, neck, and abdomen while he would kill his father. As the chaos unfolded, Thomas was found on his front porch, kneeling and proclaiming that he was on a divine mission and needed to do the work of God. His delusions were so intense that only the arrival of the police and the act of fettering could contain the situation. During the interrogations, he told the detective that he thought his dad was the devil and everyone had been taken over by the devil. He felt an immediate control, as though he was God. However, in the space of consciousness, his honest intentions were to run to his dad for help, not to kill him or hurt anyone. He stated that he could see his loved ones who were trying to help him turn aggressive, so he just needed to run to his dad for help. This surreal encounter was a stark reminder of the unpredictable effects of hallucinogens.
Is that on that second 911 call, something has gone terribly wrong.
Try to see what is in this kid's mind, like try to understand why he did this.
17 times there was a goal here. What was the goal? The goal was to kill her.
Here are are the 10 most disturbing 911 calls from kids. Starting with the spine-chilling call 16-year-old Kyle Plush made just minutes before he was crushed to death in a van.
I probably don't have much time left to tell my mom that I love her if I die.
August 10th, 2018, Kyle Plush was on the Ohio Seven Hills tennis team and was supposed to play in a match that evening. He was in his 2004 Honda Odyssey minivan, reaching to get his tennis gear when he got pinned by the third row seat. Kyle managed to call 911 by voice activating his iPhone, and he made that call around 3:16 p.m. However, due to poor service, both Plush and the 911 dispatcher had trouble hearing. The dispatcher was able to get his address before the call ended, allowing her to alert officers to the school's parking lot where his van was parked. 2 officers arrived at his location by 3:26 p.m. They spent 11 minutes patrolling the area, but couldn't find anyone in distress. On the other hand, Kyle was making his second 911 call. This time he gave more details about the van he was trapped in, including its color, make, and model.
Cincinnati 911, what is the address for your emergency? Anyone there?
I can't hear what you're saying. I probably don't have much time left to tell my mom that I love her if I die. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. I'm trapped inside my old Honda Odyssey van in the Southport parking lot of Seven Hills Theft. Send officers immediately. I'm almost dead.
The dispatcher went silent for a few minutes while Kyle continued fighting for his life. Keep in mind that during this call, those 2 officers are still looking for Kyle, but for some inexplicable reason, the dispatcher failed to relay the additional information Kyle provided to those officers. And maybe if that information had been provided, Kyle would still be alive today. Unfortunately, he died of asphyxia due to chest compression, meaning he was crushed to death. Kyle's father, Ronald Plush, later found his son's body in the parking lot nearly 6 hours after Kyle made both 911 calls. In August 2019, his family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Cincinnati in the Hamilton County Court of Common Pleas. They claimed that negligence by the police and the 911 center workers led to their son's death. And 3 years later, the Plush family was awarded a $6 million settlement, marking the second largest settlement in the city's history. Kyle's fate could have been different, but the same can't be said about Dylan Murray, who called 911 after intentionally murdering his friend for having an affair with a girl he was obsessed with. 16-year-old Dylan Murray was a troubled teenager living in Polk County, Florida. Between 2016 and 18, Murray had been charged 3 times for hitting his dad, beating up a random girl, and hitting one of his friends. Photos from his Facebook page also suggest Murray had this particular thirst for blood, as he posted gory photos to the platform, including one that depicted the Joker covered in blood. Now, sometime in 2018, Murray discovered that his friend Giovanni Diaz, the same guy he had been charged with assaulting a few years earlier, was in a romantic relationship with a girl Murray was infatuated with. So Dylan had sought a relationship with this young lady but got turned down, and rather than accepting defeat and moving on, Murray began plotting ways to get back at Diaz for having intimate relations with his love interest. March 19th, 2018, Murray lured Diaz to a secluded spot in the woods of Lake Wales under the pretense of smoking marijuana. When Diaz got there, he noticed Murray holding an aluminum baseball bat but didn't think much of it. As they talked in the woods, Diaz brought up his past relationship with the girl Murray had feelings for. This enraged Murray, and fueled by jealousy, he swung that bat with such force that it became dented and splattered with blood. When Diaz stopped moving, Murray panicked and fled the scene. However, as he got out of the woods, a witness saw him covered in blood. Murray tried to explain that he had been attacked by Diaz and had acted in self-defense. The unknown witness, obviously shocked, urged him to call 911 and clarify the situation, leading to this conversation with the dispatcher.
I saw him walking, and he brought me to the woods, and he took my baseball bat and tried to beat me. He tried to attack me, and then me and him got into a fight, so I had the baseball bat, and I don't know if he said, because I hit him so many times, man. Dad! Dad, help!
Now, at that point, you could hear Murray calling his dad for help, because it just so happened that as he was making that call, he spotted his dad around the neighborhood. He then explained to his father what happened while on the call.
Dad, help! You I think Gil tried to kill me, and I think I killed him. I'm not playing that. He texted me in the morning. He told me to come to the woods by myself with the baseball bat, because after we were going to get some smoke, he was going to go get Zach to play baseball, to go to baseball. Then he said he had to take a pee. Then all of a sudden he's behind with the baseball bat. He tried to hit me, I grabbed it. All he did was punch me in the face, but I hit him one time and said, stop. He's like, now you're going to get it, and came back with his hands, and I just keep hitting him and hitting him. They're saying I'm going to go to jail if he dies.
It's safe to say Murray didn't think his plan through because his version of what happened had a few lapses, with his biggest one being that if Giovanni actually hit him first, why didn't he have a single bruise or mark or anything on his body? When confronted with that question, Murray was forced to tell the truth, and he was charged with first-degree murder and pled guilty in court. He was sentenced to 60 years in Florida State Prison, followed by 20 years of probation. Now, the case of Murray is undoubtedly horrifying, but nothing will prepare you for what 14-year-old Donovan Nicholas told a 911 dispatcher after stabbing his mother to death.
911, where's your emergency? It's Clark County with the transfer. He's at 4328 Valley Pike. Sir, go ahead.
I just killed my mother.
April 6th, 2017, Donovan, a few months shy of his 15th birthday, was dressed specially for this vicious crime he was about to commit. He wore black pants and a white t-shirt. He used a razor to carve markings from his lips, like a long smile as seen with the fictional character the Joker. Himself beneath the front staircase of his family's two-story farmhouse in Urbana, Ohio. And then he called his father's longtime girlfriend, 40-year-old Heidi Faye Taylor, who he referred to as Mother, before stabbing her multiple times and shooting her in the head. Growing up, Donovan was a troubled kid who was consumed by the dark feelings of worthlessness, loneliness, and despair. These feelings would lead to a struggle with suicidal thoughts, which later transitioned to an urge to commit murder. Donovan then got obsessed with Jeff the Killer, a fictional character in an online horror fiction subgenre, creepypasta. He viewed Jeff as an alternate personality and was soon consumed by the thought of him being Jeff. So on the day of the incident, while his father was out, Donovan called Taylor downstairs, and as she descended there to meet him, he would rush her, stabbing her multiple times as she fought back desperately. Taylor struggled for her life from room to room, but Donovan, being 2 inches taller and a few pounds heavier, relentlessly pursued her, leaving smears and spatters of blood along the floor and walls. At some point, Taylor grew so weak that Donovan had to stop and have a glass of water. Donovan picked up his phone and frantically called 911, describing to the dispatcher the cruel reasons behind his actions.
What happened, sir?
I just killed my mother, and I need to go to the hospital.
And what happened?
It wasn't me who it was Jeff.
What happened? Who did it?
Jeff.
As you heard, he initially took responsibility for the murder, but soon changed his story, blaming it on Jeff, the fictional character he was obsessed with.
I'm sorry, this is going to be really hard to explain, but I kind of have another person inside me. Like...
Okay, are you okay?
No. I myself.
You yourself?
Yes.
What happened to your mom?
He killed her. He snapped.
Okay, what's your name? Alright, are you able to say who's with you?
I am by myself. Me and Jeff.
Okay, and what happened to your mom? What did you do?
He stabbed her. Then he shot her.
The dispatcher then asked Donovan why he thought Jeff wanted to hurt his mom. Cops cops eventually arrived and arrested Donovan. But here's a twist. He pled guilty by reason of insanity, and being just 14 at the time of the murder, he was placed under psychiatric care in the state's juvenile system. By December 2023, he was released. So, at 14, he slaughtered the woman who raised him, and at 21, he walked free. But freedom was a privilege 11-year-old Luis Gutierrez Jr. was denied when he made his 911 call, informing the operator that two men had just broken into his house.
Are you inside the house?
Yes.
Are you alone inside the house?
Yes.
How old are you?
11.
What room are you in? Where? In your bedroom? Is the person inside the house?
Yes. Yes.
What does he look like? What does he look like?
I don't know.
June 21st, 2012. Luis Gutierrez was home alone watching television when his parents went out to the gas station. Minutes later, the boy heard a loud knock at the front door, followed by the smashing of glass from a back window. He began hearing noises in the house, so he ran to hide under his bed and immediately called his father. Since he wasn't close to the house, his father told him to immediately call 911 while he rushed back. Luis did as he was told. The fear in his voice would speak louder than his words.
911, where is the emergency?
49 Crawford Street.
Where?
49 Crawford Street.
Is there an apartment number?
No, it's a house.
What's your name? Are you inside the house?
Yes.
Are you alone inside the house?
Yes.
How old are you?
11.
What room are you in? Where?
My room.
In your bedroom? Is the person inside the house?
Yes. Yes.
What does he look like? What does he look like?
I don't know.
Now at this point, the 911 operator wasn't sure Luis was telling the truth, since he couldn't provide any details about the burglars.
Okay, and you don't know what he looks like. How do you know he's inside the house? What? How do you know he's in the house if you can't see him? If you can't see him?
I hear him.
You hear him? Where are they? Where? Saying, where are your parents?
In the gas station.
In the gas station?
You can hear the operator relate the information to another officer.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
He said he hears them. That's what he said. I don't know if it's real or not.
It's real. It's real.
No. No way. Well, he said someone who thinks it's a
Yes.
Did you hear the person talking or anything?
Yes.
You heard him talking? What was the person saying?
I don't know. He's in my parents' room.
He's in your parents' room?
She then advises Luis to hide in the closet as the cops make their way to his house. Luis was taken to safety, and the two men spotted inside were arrested. One of them would have jewelry on him belonging to the boy's mother. But most importantly, Luis's dad was really proud of him because his quick thinking possibly saved his life and resulted in no casualties. Now, unfortunately, in the case of Tia Hernlin, her heroic actions weren't enough to save her parents' lives. March 28, 2005, 5-year-old Tia Hernlin was awakened by gunshots while sleeping in her family's Florida home. Terrified, she ran to her parents' room, only to find them lying in their own blood. In shock, she naively calls 911 and describes the harrowing scene to the dispatcher.
It's coming out of my dad's mouth, and he fell off the bed.
He did? Where's Mommy at?
I don't know. I think they're dead.
What do you mean, sweetheart?
I don't know.
Okay, your daddy's on the floor. How old are you?
I'm 5 years old, and I have a dog in the house.
Okay, baby, okay. Let me get somebody right over to you. Did you go in your mommy and daddy's room?
And there's blood.
All over the place?
Not all over. There's blood on the plant and blood
control the situation while keeping Tia relaxed.
Okay, then what made you wake up tonight?
I think I heard a gunshot.
You heard a gun?
Yes, I see a bullet laying on the floor. I think it's a bullet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Who has a gun in the house?
I don't see a gun, but I'm scared.
Oh, sweetheart, I will not let anything happen to you.
Can you send your deputy down?
I promise I will. And you're only 5 years old?
Mm-hmm.
You are so smart for 5 years old.
After making sure Tia was calm, the dispatcher then tried to get more information from her without scaring her off.
Was there anybody else in the house besides you and Mommy and Daddy tonight? Like an uncle or anything?
No, there's no robber in the house.
Okay, well, I didn't think there'd be a robber, sweetheart. Did you have anybody staying over the night with you guys tonight? Okay.
After a few more minutes, the police arrived and discovered a gruesome scene. Tia's parents, 29-year-old Aeneas Hernlin and his wife of nearly a decade, Julie Morgan Hernlin, had been killed by David E. Johnson, a former acquaintance of Julie's. Johnson had broken into their home, gone straight to their bedroom. Johnson had believed that Julie and her husband had snitched on him to the cops about his elaborate marijuana growing operation. Julie was a paralegal at Daytona Beach Community College and had sought help from authorities, even predicting that Johnson might kill her. Her husband, Aeneas, worked in construction and was also an installer for a sign company. They met while Julie was working at Daytona Beach's concession stand near one of the Hernlin surfing spots, and both were children of police officers. Seeking new experiences, they moved to the Virgin Islands, where the Hernlins started a family. After getting married there, they moved back to Florida, where Johnson began to stalk him. Julie knew that Johnson was bent on avenging something she didn't do. He claimed that because of her and her husband, he was arrested for growing marijuana in his refrigerator. He became obsessed with them and wanted nothing more than to make them feel the pain he felt while incarcerated for months. Julie kept meticulous records since December 2004 of every time Johnson drove by her house, called, or made a threat. She jotted down dates, times, and descriptions, and filed for a restraining order, which a judge denied. Now, perhaps if that restraining order had been enforced, Tia wouldn't be an orphan today. But being an orphan is exactly what Alexander Bishop wanted. After he allegedly murdered his own father and tried falsifying claims during a 911 call that their dog was responsible.
Durham 911, what's the address of your emergency?
3411 Dover Road.
Okay, repeat that address for me, sir, to make sure I'm correct.
3411 Dover Road.
Are you saying Dover?
Dover, yes, D-O-V-E-R.
Yes, sir, okay. And is this a house or an apartment?
House.
Okay, tell me exactly what's happening.
I think my dad is dead.
April 18th, 2018, 16-year-old Alexander Bishop called 911.
Tell me exactly what's happening.
I think my dad is dead.
April 18th, 2018, 16-year-old Alexander Bishop called 911 to report a tragedy in his Durham, North Carolina home. His 59-year-old father, Bill Bishop, was unresponsive, with a dog leash wrapped around his neck and the dog attached attached to it. His father was a high-profile real estate mogul in Tampa Bay, with properties reportedly worth over $5 million. Around 2008, Bill moved to North Carolina with his family to get a doctoral degree at UNC Chapel Hill. But a decade later, he died under suspicious circumstances. His son Alexander made 2 calls after discovering his dead body. The first one to his mom Sharon, and the second one to the 911 operator, where he said this.
I think my dad is dead. I think my dog got his collar wrapped around his throat, and his face was purple, and it started to saying your dog or your dad? My dad is dead, but I think my dog got his leash wrapped around my dad's throat. Okay. And I walked in there, and he was tied to his neck, and
are you able to remove the leash from around your father's neck?
I already did.
Okay. And are you with your father now?
No, I don't have cell service in that room.
Okay. And how old is your father?
59.
Was he awake?
No. Awake?
Yes, is he awake?
No, I think he's dead.
Okay. Okay, I'm sending the paramedics to help me now. Stay on the line.
Okay.
If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now in case we need it later. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. Listen carefully. Are you right by him now?
No, I can't stay on the line with you if I go into the room with him because I have no cell service in that room.
Okay, is there another phone that you can possibly use?
No, nothing has service in that room.
Okay, because I want you to lay him flat on his back to check his airway to see if he...
When emergency services arrived, they found Bill's body slumped in a leather chair in the home theater of his 4,000-square-foot house. And unfortunately, he died 3 days later at a hospital. But here's where things would get complicated. When emergency personnel questioned Alexander, he told an EMS supervisor that he wasn't going to be upset if his father died, going on to explain that while it was never physical, his dad verbally abused him and his mother over minor things like dishes being left in the sink or homework not being completed. Bishop and his ex-wife Sharon had been married since 1998, but got divorced in 2016 due to the verbal abuse that Alexander told investigators. Bill did win custody of his 2 sons, Alexander and Jefferson, but nonetheless, there was more truth to be revealed. An autopsy later determined that Bill Bishop had died from homicide by strangulation, with ligature marks being around his neck. Authorities were first puzzled by this discovery, wondering why Alexander must have wanted his father dead. But after a few more days, they established a motive. During a search of the Bishop home, they found $460,000 worth of cash and gold ingots stored in a safe near the home theater where Bill was found. Also, a forensic examination would reveal that Alexander's mobile phone showed he had searched online about the value of gold, how to calculate the value of an estate, and how to transfer bank accounts after a death. He was arrested and charged with Bill's murder, but a year later, the charges against him were dropped. The Durham County District Attorney's Office filed court documents dismissing the murder charge against Alexander Bishop due to the lack of evidence. So, whether or not Alexander killed his dad, I guess we'll never know. But as we move on to a more vile and troubling 911 call, we have Isaiah Walker, who made that call after his brother killed both his parents because he thought they were Satanists.
701, where's your emergency?
There's a bunch of gunfire in my house, and I'm bringing my brother.
2:30 a.m., March 4th, 2019. Police get a 911 call from a frightened Isaiah Walker, who was too scared to speak.
I can't even talk right now.
What's on fire?
Nothing's on fire.
What were you saying you need help for then?
There's gunfire.
Okay, all I can hear you saying is what sounds like fire, and you said there's not a fire. So say it again louder.
Gunfire.
Gunfire. Okay, in the house or outside?
In
the
Isaiah's brother Eli was still armed, making Isaiah hesitant to give details to the operator.
Okay. Do you see the person with the gun?
Yeah.
What do they look like? Sir.
Please, dear.
I need to know more information. I've got officers headed that way. Who do you see with a gun? I can't hear you. Hello? Where's the person with the gun?
As soon as his brother approached, he placed the call on hold before giving more details.
Yeah, this is Jessica with the Edmond Police Department.
Yes.
Did I receive a call from you or from someone else there?
Me.
Okay, I've got officers there. What's going on?
Do you?
Yeah, where's the person with the gun?
Inside the house.
He's inside the house?
Yes.
Okay, is the gun still out?
No.
And you're at 2601 North Bryant, correct?
Yes.
And who is this person that has the gun? Okay. Where is he at inside the house?
He's in his room.
Okay, and does he live there?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he white, black, Hispanic, Asian?
He's, white.
Are you able to step outside if I stay on the phone with you so officers can speak with you?
Maybe. I don't know if I would be able to.
Why would you not be able to?
Well, he's my brother, and he shot my parents.
He shot your parents? Where are they?
Yeah. My father is in his room on the floor, and my mom's by the front door on the floor.
Okay, are they breathing?
I do not believe they are.
You said that you think that they're breathing?
No, I don't believe they are.
How long ago were they shot?
I believe about 10 minutes ago.
Hold on 1 second.
What?
Not sure if you heard that last part clearly, but at that moment, Michael had entered the room and was whispering to his brother to cut the call. Isaiah refused and hurriedly rushed outside since the cops were already there. They found 50-year-old Michael Logan Walker and his wife, 44-year-old Rachel May Walker, dead from gunshot wounds. But what they couldn't understand was the motive behind Michael's actions. For context, Eli's father was a longtime drummer in the Oklahoma rock band Aranda. He lived with his wife and 3 kids on the 2600 block of North Bryant Avenue in Edmond, Oklahoma. While the family appeared to be at peace, Eli harbored dark intentions toward his parents. These thoughts surfaced after an argument about Satanism, during which Eli claimed that his parents were telepathically sending him messages and were Satan worshippers. Paranoid and armed with a Glock pistol, he wandered around the house, wanting to take their lives. Eli first targeted his father, shooting him in the head, face, and torso. He then turned to his mom, who tried to flee and shot her in the upper torso. Witnessing this, his brother Isaiah was terrified, and Eli promised Isaiah that he would bury their parents' bodies and assured him that there was nothing to worry about. Fearing his brother might turn on him, Isaiah made that crucial 911 call. Here's the twist. After Eli's arrest and being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Some argue the judgment was flawed, as Eli expressed during interrogation that he would commit the crime again if given the chance, showing no remorse. And although found not guilty, Eli wasn't released. Instead, he was sent to the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, where he will remain until deemed no longer a threat to public safety. Let's just hope he doesn't turn on his brother when he gets out. But anyway, just like Eli, this next teenager, Cameron Rogers, stayed in his house for a week with his lifeless parents after murdering them for the most absurd reasons possible.
That's fine, 911. Hello? Hello?
the corner of the street to see the street name.
And who did you kill?
My mom and dad.
November 28th, 2016, Cameron Rogers placed a call to 911 confessing to the murder of his parents. The call was traced back to an abandoned building under construction, which was located in Montreal. When officers picked up Cameron from that building, he audibly breathed a sigh of relief, and I'll explain why in a moment. He was swiftly taken into custody, where the gruesome reality behind his actions were revealed. A week prior, on November 20th, Cameron was chopping up a melon in the kitchen while his mother, Meryl, grounded herbs for a party dish she was making. The family was expected to attend a party later that afternoon and were preparing for it. But while Cameron sliced through the flesh of that melon, a dark plan began to formulate in his mind. What if he killed his parents? He and his parents had argued the night before, one of many, and despite the passing of hours since then, Cameron was still stewing over it. He was tired of being dictated to, tired of being controlled, and tired of being treated like a child. Cameron considered his plan for a while. Getting rid of his parents would be total autonomy. Eventually, he came to a decision. He left the kitchen and went into the garage. He removed a wooden sword he had fashioned himself from its holder and went back to join his mother in the kitchen. As she turned her back on him, he swung that sword, hitting her across the back of the head. She cried out and turned around, and he struck her once more in the face. Then he plunged the sword into her chest. But it was blunt, and although it did some damage, it wasn't the killing blow. He dropped the sword and grabbed a nearby knife. His father, David Rogers, heard his wife's cries from across the house. He raced to the kitchen and was greeted by a gruesome scene of his wife lying on the kitchen floor. Cameron, still clutching the knife he had used on his mom, swiftly pierced it into his father's chest, immediately puncturing his lung. His father dropped to the floor and died shortly after. As for Meryl, she was gravely injured, but far from death. Just then the phone rang. Cameron knew he had to act as everything was normal. It was his Uncle Graham, Meryl's brother, asking to speak to his sister. Cameron concocted a lie that his parents were ill with the flu and resting in bed, assuring his uncle that everything was fine. As his mother lay dying, Cameron left the kitchen, unable to look at her. He then went upstairs to his bedroom and waited until morning when her cries had subsided and she was dead. He would then go to the kitchen where his parents' corpses were laid out. He grabbed his suitcase and rolled his father's corpse inside of it haphazardly. He then got a tarp and wrapped his mother in it. He dragged the two bodies out behind the shed in the garden and left them there. Then he went back in to clean the scene. Cameron's parents owned a steam cleaner, and he used this to try to clean up the blood. He also used a mop. He then took the knives and the wooden sword out to the garbage bin in the garage and dumped them inside. Cameron wouldn't flee after these murders. His plan was naive and wasn't well thought out. He stayed in the family home for a full week after his parents were killed, plotting out his next move. After all his options had failed, he called 911, and this chilling conversation was recorded.
And who did you kill?
My mom and dad.
Okay. Where do they live?
They live in Ottawa.
They live in Ottawa?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have an address?
1614 Appledorn. That's...
How do you spell the street name?
1614 and then A-P-E-L-V-O. He is blue.
I can't bring it right now, boss.
The jacket is orange and the hoodie is blue?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send somebody to go and talk to you and just see what's going on, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
By the time cops arrived, Cameron led them to the house where his parents' dead bodies had frozen in the cold. It was all despicable to